We're live.
We are. Rachel Fisher,
Maya, the one, the only more.
and we have no idea where the rest of our group is, so.
They're lost!
Okay, so who's your organization, Maya?
Mine was the Skyview Marching Band PTA.
Oh, mine was Child and Family Service. Sorry, someone's mooning me. Child and Family Services.
You might want to tell them the reflection in the mirror in the glass is a pretty good one. Look,
Jeremy, the reflection in the glass is pretty good. He said sweet. Okay, this is recording, people. Okay. Hello. Um, Mine was CPS, Child Protective Services. So I guess we just have to answer these questions. What
mhm.
led you to get involved with the PTA, Maya?
um, there was a need for parents to step up and overcome some of the stop gaps between the parents and the school to help, I don't say fund or manipulate, show that in the community that this is the biggest organization in the school and they were getting pushed over all the time. So by us parents coming in and making our presence known, we suddenly started becoming level with the football team and the basketball team and the athletic side of things. And because of that, our numbers are growing, our academics are growing, our we've never had this high of a scholarship base this year, so it's just growing.
When I got involved with CPS because my brother's involved and my family is in law enforcement. I have two brothers that are police officer, a brother who's an attorney that does adoptions, and one that is a supervisor for child protective services. And so, sitting around the dinner table or the family holiday table as it is now, the conversations can get quite interesting about children and families. And that's kind of, I've always looked at the organization and wondered, are they really a benefit for families and children, or are they a detriment to families and children because they do pull kids away from their families?
But it could be on both sides, right?
Yeah. So it was a oxymoron to me that they could be helping families, but on the offside that they return a child that the judge says is okay to return, that child could die. And so technically their role has just hurt a family instead of helped it.
Mm.
So that was always interesting to me, and so that's kind of why I picked it. So let's see. Next question. What do you see are the most prevalent problems for families here in the community?
Lack of support for the kids. Too many of the parents around here just want to turn the kids over to somebody else to raise, someone else to take care of. As long as I can drop them off at 8 and pick them up at 5, 6, 7, they don't want to be parents. That's the biggest problem.
The more of the hands-off approach.
Yeah, it takes a village, and I don't want to be part of it.
As long as someone else's village is taking care of my kid, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think it's a community issue, or do you think it's a school by school issue, or do you think that it's a
I
generational
think
issue?
generational. I think a lot of it has the generation before this generation was a little more hands-on. The one before that was more hands-on. We're slowly weaning ourselves from being a hands-on society with our kids, and that might be part of it. Is more women working, dads are not in the picture, split families, things that are just changing with each generation,
Well,
and it seems
definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
and it seems normal now. So when it happens to the next generation, oh well, my family was never at X, Y, or Z, so why should I? And so it just snowballs.
Yeah, it's interesting. Whereas at least when I was growing up, my parents were not nearly as in control of what I did every day, where I played outside. I mean, literally in
Mm.
summer. get out the door and I'll see you when it's dark type of thing, or I'll see you when I call for you.
When you're
But
hungry, come home.
exactly, or when you're tired, or you know, other than that, I'll call you. But it seems like they were far more plugged into what was going on, which is so weird that they were not plugged in as to really daily what was going on, but what was going on at school, or be in attendance when things were going on was a big deal. But supervision was not. And now it seems to be the exact opposite. Supervision is a big deal, but to actually be involved is not.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Maybe you swing from one to the other too far.
Yeah. Like it's just not all about supervising. Yes, we want to keep our kids safe, but if all you're doing is keeping your kids safe, then you're missing out on a whole other aspect of what's going on in their life.
Mm-hmm. And part of that's environment where you
Yes.
grow up. You're not going to let your kid from East Compton go out and play.
No.
Granted, we're not in East Compton, but
But even now, I mean, we had some perv in our neighborhood was driving around asking the little girls what kind of underwear they were wearing or what color. I mean, we're suburban Idaho. Just stupid stuff like that. So then your kids, I don't let my girls go out by themselves. They've got to have someone with them.
mm,
And so it just takes away that little bit of.
freedom.
It's almost like parents have to be so diligent in taking care of their kids and making sure they're safe that it's almost overwhelming to get
The helicopter
on top of
parent.
everything else. Yes, yes. And your kids are older, so you don't have to. Your helicopter doesn't have to fly so close.
Nah, I just shoot him down out of the sky.
No, you just shoot around all of their friends down at the sky from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. As for me and problems prevalent in families, I think I agree with you that they are letting other people raise their kids, and so there's no accountability. They're letting the schools. They're okay with the schools teaching their kids. They're okay with the school watching their kids. They're okay with the school feeding their kids. They're okay with everything except for the school actually teaching them morals. And the
Yeah.
school can't teach morals. The parents have to teach morals. And when the teaching's not happening in the home, then we've got a whole generation of kids that have no moral compass. They don't know which way they're supposed to go. They are absolutely whichever way the wind blows them, and that's totally fine. And I don't know if that's because parents don't know how to teach morals, or if we were necessarily taught morals. I mean, when I was out
We were
Texas
beating morals.
collecting, well, the nature taught me morals. If you jump into something freezing cold, you ought not do that in October. You know, life lessons were taught. You ought not kiss the guy behind the tree because someone's going to tell and you're going to get into trouble.
Never had that problem.
Okay, a girl for you.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I mean, we were taught a moral compass by going to church, but I learned the hard knocks of life from life, and I don't think because we shelter our kids that they get to learn those hard knocks.
Mm, there is a generation where everyone wins, and that's been a detriment. Here's your participation trophy.
Oh yeah, the confidence of the American youth is huge, but the performance of the American youth sucks. We think we're all
Yeah.
that in a bag of chips, and they ain't.
Well, they are. They've just been smashed.
Yes, but someone's got to unsmash them and make them
It's
realize that
it,
someone else's chips are.
it's what you put in your tuna wiggle.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
I'm in a weird mood.
Really? How does the PTA in your situation help children and families locally?
We take a lot off, and this sounds bad, we take a lot off the parents' plate. Granted, I put it on my plate. Um, but every weekend when we do like competitions and getting them across the state, and when I took them to Disneyland um, with the band and things like that, there was a comfort knowing that they had someone that would care and take care and look after their kids. I don't know how many parents when we were traveling, is my kid okay? Yeah, they're doing all right. It's just that reassurance. Like I said, we've grown the band exponentially to the point where getting to be known
scholarships are coming, things like that, and it's starting to feed itself, and that's key to me.
Well, yeah, the idea that, and you also by growing it, you're giving people who may not necessarily have found a place in high school, it gives them that sense of place. And
Oh, you have a family.
the, yeah, and the role that you have, that you were able to go, I'm sure there's lots of parents that I would hope that there were lots of parents that would have wanted to go to Disneyland and just couldn't, because I wouldn't be able to go. I've got little kids at home. Some
Yeah,
of the kids that have got small kids at home and they're older ones, so you're able to fill in that role, and it's good that they have someone like you that they could trust to say, okay, is my kid really okay? So their kid doesn't is not able to participate because mom and dad can't participate,
yeah.
and to raise money to help them to get to go, I guess, too. Okay, as for me and my organization, I don't know. This is part of the reason why I picked this, because Child Protective Services, it absolutely helps children in the cases of abuse and neglect, to get them in a better situation. But sometimes the situation they're put back into, whether it be foster care or whether it be
Pause.
back home, it's not always the best.
Mm.
Um, so I think its intention is good, and it intends to help the children, and it does. I mean, there's some situations where obviously the children need to be removed, and they then get the mom and dad into parenting classes or anger management classes or into rehab or into some type of drug training or drug court, to keep them clean and sober before they can get the child back. They give them services, job training. They also give them uh, on welfare if they need to modify that to get them in a position where they can properly take care of their kids. And that's the goal. Now, whether or not that help really helps, or if that help is really a hindrance in regards to food stamps or welfare, they're not really standing on their own 2 feet. I don't
But
know.
it
But I
it
think the
gets them
goal is that
pushed the
it's
right way
true. True, it does. But I think
if
the
they're
goal
willing
is
to
that
accept
help.
it.
Yes, yes. So in regards to how they help children and families, I think if someone, like you said, if someone takes responsibility and uses the help that they're given, and it could just be anger management for a dad or an anger management for a mom, or how to deal with a disruptive teenager versus,
You beat them.
or for that matter, getting a colicky baby to the right doctor that they might not have medical care before, to be able to help them not lose their cool because they've had a baby
Mm.
crying for the last 5 hours.
3 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you had a colicky baby.
Canton. Nothing but.
But yeah, so I think that's the big one. I think that's that their intent is good. And I think with everything, you can have some rotten apples in the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question. Do you feel your organization is child or family focused? In other words, does your organization strive to strengthen the family or to step in to help children where families are failing?
Ooh, a little bit of both, depending on the situation, what we're doing. There's times when it's definitely kid oriented, and other times, when we have parents out there helping and being part and making those memories, and it's family oriented. But there's times when it's kid and kid only.
And I think what, like you were talking about the trip to Disneyland, you were able to step in to help those kids go who otherwise couldn't or wouldn't. And I'm sure there were some parents that just didn't want to go and figured if someone else is going to take my kid, all the more power to them.
Oh, I had a lot of parents say this. Yeah, it's like
So I
there's no
think
way I'm
that,
riding a bus.
well, to be honest, I'm not sure I'd want to ride a bus with a bunch of teenagers, but hey, you do
It's
what
only
you got to
22
do.
hours.
Um, 22 hours could be like 1,000 hours when it comes to a bus.
Hmm.
As for mine, I think they do. I think they do help. I think, but I think they're more child oriented initially, because they're
Yeah,
there. It's Child Protective Services. That's their mandate. They're there to protect the child and make sure the child's fed and taken care of. However, on the back end of that, they do help families. So they do step in to help children where their mom and dad aren't
can't.
doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yes. can't, won't, unwilling, whatever it may be. But on the backside of that, I think they do help families or at least help parents, or at least try and give them the skills to help reunite the family. Because I guess that's the ultimate goal, is to have them all back under the same roof and all's going well.
Keep the stability, yeah.
Yes, or create stability that wasn't there before. Okay, so other questions that we had from the reading of the school and the family. Hold on, let me pull up my notes. Let's see.
I'm pulling mine up too.
So one question that I thought about that I wrote kind of my notes are, the question I had was, are we just meeting needs, or are we able to make things better? So when you talk about welfare, for like in your situation, I would think with the PTA, you're making things better because these kids wouldn't be able to do it or wouldn't be able to participate. With Child Protective Services, their mandate, yes. But when it comes to welfare and it comes to Medicaid and it comes to food stamps and it comes to all those other things, we have thousands of people that have been on welfare for years and years and years. It's a way of life. Is the help really helping them, or are we just helping them be deadbeats? The whole, if you give them a fish, they'll eat for a day. If you teach them how to fish, then they'll eat for a lifetime. I don't know. What do you think?
It's a good point. Are you perpetuating like mine with the lack of parent involvement? Are you perpetuating the parent that doesn't work, uses the system to just live on that? That's something to be interesting, to think about. One of the things that when I was reading mine, it talked about the neighborhood setting. We both grew up small town. We're both in small town now. But, knowing your neighbors and knowing the settings that are around you, does that play into, like, your situation where the families get removed? Does it play into my situation where, parents don't step forward because, somebody else will do it because that's what, Mormons do? Someone, the STP, the same 10 people will take care of everything in the ward, or the same, or, in the schools or whatever. And so, is a neighborhood setting a detriment or an asset?
I think it can be both. Like an apartment living, I think the neighborhood is a detriment because people don't know their neighbors. And I mean, there was a thing on the news a couple weeks ago that a mother had overdosed on drugs and her 9-month-old son starved to death. And they were in a neighborhood, and or in an apartment complex, and people heard the baby crying but never bothered to call. And he's literally starved to death. I really think that if it was in a neighborhood like this where I know my neighbors and someone walked by my house and heard a baby crying repetitively and hadn't heard from me, they would have knocked on the door to figure out what's going on. But no one knew this woman, no one knew the baby, no one knew what was going on. So she had died of a drug overdose and her baby starved to death. And nobody cared. Nobody bothered to call because they didn't know her. So I think in that situation, the neighborhood does really matter. I mean, if you stopped coming out your door, don't you think your neighbors would know it?
Depends if they need anything from you or not.
So you're the same 10 people?
Yeah. That's it. Did you print this out or no?
Which one?
The reading? I know you love to print everything.
35 pages or something.
You usually like to deforest Brazil, so I didn't know if you went to the hardwood or not. Look at page 22.
Hold on.
I had some highlights on that one.
Hold on. Oh boy.
And in case you care, Kentucky 60, Hampton 28.
Really?
Yeah. 13 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, I gotta pull it. Page 22. What's the actual page number?
Yeah, I've got it 20. It's talking about creating caring communities.
Okay, hold on.
Actual page is 352.
Okay. 350.
Because this kind of goes into yours, and it kind of goes into mine.
345. 352. Creating caring communities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how they've made this NCC, the National Commission of Children, to address some of the things that we're talking about, where you don't know your neighborhood, you don't know who's taking care of whom. Trying to make the second to last phrase. It says, blah 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 blah. The opportunity for every young person, regardless of circumstance, to become a healthy, secure, educated, economically self-sufficient, and productive child. I think that's everyone's goal. But why do you think they had to make a law or a decree because of that? Didn't it seemed really odd to me.
There's lots of things that the government does that makes it seem kind of odd.
Mm,
I mean, at least they noticed that there was a problem,
that's true.
but I think it's a kind of redundant.
Oh,
Maybe it's just to put it out there. I don't know why they would, because I don't see any. I mean, they give a whole list of what they're supposed to do: ensure income security, improve health, increase educational achievement. I don't think there's any school or any social worker or any teacher or any police officer or any public official that wouldn't agree that all of those things are there.
especially if you're waiting for Superman and it's a charter.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
had to
didn't
get
even
that in
know
there.
that. That was just a wonderful, great show all about how you can get your kids to charter school. And that's their only hope for America is to get your kid into charter school.
They had some other aspects, but they overblew that. They played that note too hard.
Yeah, agreed. Anyway, I think this is something that the states need to take up. I mean, if I had my way, I'd defund most of the federal government to begin with. But
Mm,
I appreciate the information that they're providing, but I want to hear the next step. Now, what are you going to do? You're pointing all
yeah.
this out, and you've got this new American agenda. So, but they're only making recommendations in these 9 issues. So you've spent all this money,
To come up with some
created all of this,
ideas,
and
and then
now what are
what?
you going to do with it?
Nothing.
Yeah, the next 10 sentences of what you're going to do with the information that you have, and then we may be able to change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great guideline, and to assume that most parents would not want that for their children,
Is ludicrous.
yes, and maybe they wouldn't be able to articulate exactly what they want for their children because they haven't thought like that. But I would think that most parents want successful, healthy, well-rounded adults.
Well, you want your kid better than you were under any circumstances,
Oh yeah.
whether
Oh
that be
yeah.
whether you be son of a dairy farmer or son of a doctor, you expect more.
Yes. And you want them to learn from your mistakes, and you want them to realize that you're not perfect, but you want to give them all of the tools in a toolbox, because when life beats them down, because it's gonna, they can have the tools and resources to, you know, put on their big girl pants or big boy pants and take care of it.
I'm wearing a
And not
kilt,
wait for
thank you.
Okay, your big boy kilt. Is that better?
There you go.
I don't know. I think just people rely on the government way too much, and maybe in child protective services we do too. I mean, maybe people just assume if a child's getting the crap beat out of them, that it's someone else's responsibility to check and report. And
Yeah,
honestly, those people in that apartment building where that 9-month-old died, they just assume it was someone else's responsibility to take care of that kid.
I
And I
don't want to
think
get
that there's
involved. I don't want to. Yeah.
And the detriment comes when we have that mentality. I'm not going to get involved in someone else's life because it's their life.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there may be children in a situation that it's not their life, it's not what they chose, and they're living through hell just because their parents are making poor choices. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Cool beans. All right, so I will post this. I hope I can post this on or post a link. I
YouTube.
have no idea. Yeah, that's the plan.
Well,
Hopefully I can figure
copy the ULR in case she needs it again. You know,
it out. At the top.
do it. Yeah, at the top. Do that one. I'd throw it in a Word document just so you have it.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So.
Yeah, I will. And then, all right. Well, we will talk to you later.
Yep.
All right. See you. Bye.
I'm out. Bye.